So what's an advantage of crossing? One advantage. Crossing assets. Okay? Sometimes when you've got a situation where you want to buy a second property, okay, and the second property is not acceptable security. I'll give you an example of what a not acceptable security is. Imagine that I was buying a DHA home, meaning Defence Housing Australia home, okay? I have my home, it's worth $1 million, okay? I've got a $200,000 loan on my home, okay? And this property here might be, let's say, I'm buying it for 300, just argument's sake, okay? If this property is not acceptable security, they won't allow you to borrow money against it, okay? But if the two securities are grouped together, this security, even though it's not acceptable, you can still borrow the money, okay? So that's one advantage of crossing the assets. The second sort of related advantage to this is the lender sometimes wants to have a low LVR so that they can lend you the money. And the only way to get a low LVR is to give them an asset that's worth more than what you're borrowing. So I'll give you an example because this is related to the same thing, whether it's acceptable security or you can't really borrow against it. The point is that with a value of 1 million and a debt of 200, if you buy a property for 500,000, you then have a $700,000 debt, okay? That's a 70% LVR. So that's a low LVR. Whereas previously, if you remember, we were trying to get 90% borrowing. So crossing the assets means that the value is 1 million plus 300, so that's 1.3, whereas the 200 plus 500 is 700,000. So you then have a much lower LVR and the lender says, that's lower risk, I'm prepared to accept lending money to you. That's potentially an advantage of why you would cross, to reduce the LVR.
Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to the Sydney Listings Academy. Just a quick disclaimer that this advice is generic and is not to be used by individuals. We take no liability for misuse of this information and encourage you to seek out professional advice specific to your situation. Please reach out to get in touch with our network of trusted professionals if you so need it. And just before you take off, just a quick note, obviously we're working on something with the Sydney Listings Academy to help educate people about the potential in property, finance and investing. So if you want to support the Sydney Listings Academy, please share the content with friends, family and followers if you have them. And also follow Sydney Listings on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn and or YouTube, wherever you like to hang out, as well as our website, and check that out for more resources as well. Thank you very much guys, and we'll see you in the next video.